What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Formula America podcast. We're your hosts, Kurt and Dylan. And in Formula One's back, we're back. And there's been a ton of craziness that has taken place in the F1 world since we did I think the Brazilian review was our last podcast.
Yeah, and since then, half of the head shed of Formula One has quit.
All right, let's run down. We've got, let's see, Dan Fallows is leaving Aston Martin. We've got the F1 race director leaving. We've got Liberty Media CEO leaving. We've got Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas leaving and getting replaced by Gabriel Bortoleto. And we got Monaco coming back for another few years. And all the drivers wrote a nice little letter to what's his name, Bun Sulayem, about being mean to them.
Yes, I'm sure that was headed by. I have a feeling that was headed by George Russell.
Oh, and exactly. And I think that it's so fitting that he is the director of that.
Yes. Because he wrote a very strongly worded letter to show them he meant business.
He's like, you guys are being mean to us. He's the perfect one for that role, though.
He is. So. He completely is. Yeah, it's been crazy. To me, the craziest one is the F1 race director, Niels Wittich.
Yep.
Because it's effective immediately. Like, in the article I read said, he got another opportunity somewhere else. And I was like, I don't think that. It's not like the corporate world where they're like, I quit and I'm starting somewhere new. Like, I think there's something going on behind the scenes.
Well, I actually just found an article. Somebody had interviewed him after the fact, and it came out that he was pushed out. Like, that was not, he did not all of a sudden get a brand new opportunity somewhere. But it's so crazy that, you had all that wildness that's been going on. And then Brazil, you had, controversial calls with the timing of red flags or safety cars, like with Nico Hulkenberg and all that. And now he's just gone with 3 races left in the season.
Yeah.
And they're bringing up the race director from F2 and F3, and it's going to be replacing him. But it's wild that they're just like, he decided to go on to new things.
Yeah.
Really?
And I think it's important to point out, because it was interesting. I saw an article about it that was kind of enlightening to me. The difference between the stewards and the race director. Like, the stewards hand out penalties and stuff. The race director is the one that says, safety car, VSC, yellow flag, all of that stuff, how the race restart will start, all of that good stuff. And so while we've had a lot of talk about the penalties mainly on Max, there's also been a lot of talk about, the Brazilian abort, start, the when the safety cars have been coming out, when Nico Hulkenberg was walking around during that, there's definitely been quite a bit of like safety stuff happening that is the race director's direct control. So I wonder if that has a lot to do with it.
Oh, I'm sure there's been so much controversy, and it's almost kind of feels like maybe Sulayem and all them are just kind of like trying to get rid of this guy to get the heat off of them, because there's a lot of heat on them right now too, especially with the whole drivers association.
Yeah.
And then also we can't forget Michael Massey was the former race director, and we saw how that ended. So this guy's been here for what, I think 3 years. Well, basically since then, it started 2022. And man, it's a cutthroat world up there. Nobody wants to be the top.
Yeah. It was the tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah. So FIA was coming out and saying they have a problem finding race directors. Like, it's not like I don't know. It's not like, I guess, in NFL where you have this like league of referees and stuff. It's like, I don't know how you get into that position.
They're voluntelling people. They're like, you're the race director. No. Make him the race director. I don't want to be the race director.
Let's do race director. One of them can't even show his face anywhere near Formula One anymore. It's probably in the witness protection program now. I don't want that position.
But so race director out, Liberty Media CEO is stepping down at the end of this year. And the interim replacement, John Malone, is the chairman of Liberty Media. I honestly, like, to me, this just feels like, with the race director stepping down, with a lot of the hoopla, with, the drivers saying that people are being mean to them and stuff like that, like trying to shift gears and like enter a new era of Formula One. It's not the 2000s Formula One anymore.
Right.
And I think they're really shaking it up, trying to get young blood in there to figure out how to keep this going.
Yeah, I mean, I respect that. I think that that's kind of important. Like, I mean, you have to have evolution and change, and, it's uncomfortable. A lot of people, especially, purists don't necessarily like that all the time, but it's, look at the Halo. Everybody hated the Halo and look how many people it saved.
In a couple of years. It's been around for 6 years and it's probably saved 3 drivers' lives.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a ton of value in the evolution. But it's like you're saying with the CEO of Liberty Media. I think that's interesting because he was vehemently opposed to Andretti coming in. So it's kind of like, I wonder maybe if this maybe opens the door to Andretti a little bit.
Yep.
So who knows?
It'll be interesting. Dan Fallows, technical director of Aston Martin F1 team. This we knew was coming because Adrian knew he's going in. So
Dan Fallows, who's been there since I think 2022, went over there. Essentially the number 2 guy to Adrian Newey in Red Bull. Finally gets out from under his boss, goes over there, spreads his wings, has some initial success, and now Adrian Newey's just coming right back over to him.
Sorry, big guy, because it says he's staying within the group, so you're being demoted back to number 2.
Yeah. That sucks for Dan. But I mean, he's like, shit, just what I got away from this guy.
Okay, I think that's all. So I guess the last of the official leaving is Kick Sauber's officially announced. Bottas and Zhou are out.
Yeah, which for a while it seemed like I think we all knew Zhou was going to be out. It kind of leaned towards Valtteri staying. But honestly, looking at it, it doesn't make sense to have 2 super experienced drivers, Nico Hülkenberg and Valtteri Bottas, especially when the team is reinventing themselves.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know if you've been following Valtteri on social media lately.
He just did an Ironman in his house.
Yeah. He was like, leaving Mercedes freed him a little bit, but now knowing that he's out of Formula One has freed him so much more. Like, I feel like he is now able to flourish and be his truest self.
He's an odd duck.
He is. I saw a video with him. He did it with some Belgian YouTubers. And they were like going around Belgium eating different foods and stuff. And like, he seems like a really cool guy to hang out with. I would hang out with Valtteri.
He's probably a fairly normal personality in real life.
Right. Yeah. But so getting replaced by Gabriel Bortoleto. This kid's got kind of a really good track record.
Yeah. He won Formula 3 in 2023. He's currently leading the Formula 2 standings. All intents and purposes. I mean, who was the last guy that won Formula 2 that's in Formula 1 right now? Is that Oscar?
You got Oscar. Before him was Leclerc and then George Russell, or it might have been out of order, but those 3 did it.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it's pretty good.
It's definitely better than pulling up, the number 6 guy in Formula 2 and putting him in a Williams and hoping he will do well.
Oh,
too soon.
Yeah.
Is that too soon?
I mean, it's been done multiple times.
Yeah, it hasn't worked out. Those guys that win Formula 2 tend to do pretty well.
Right, yeah. It's the other guys you got to worry about. Nikita Mazepin's, Logan Sargent's, Nicholas Latifi's, Lance Stroll's.
So yeah, we're going to have another Brazilian on the grid. So if Colapinto gets a seat, we're going to have an Argentinian and a Brazilian, which would be pretty cool. The South American fans are crazy about it. So that's super fun, I think.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So Gabriel Bortoleto is part of the McLaren junior driver program or whatever. And Zach Brown and McLaren came out recently and said that they would not block him from leaving and getting into the sport somehow. I think the timing was interesting because they announced it shortly after the Brazilian Grand Prix, which I think it had to have been some sort of contract, negotiations finalizing, because I'm sure they would have wanted to announce it during the Brazilian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But man, it's going to be exciting because you got to see how crazy it was for Colapinto this year. Now with a Brazilian driver on the grid next year, it's going to be a sea of whatever color that car is going to be next year. I don't even know. I was going to say green, but I don't think it'll be green next year.
And dude, it just makes next year so full of rookies, which is awesome. We've been talking about that. It's like I remember all this year we've been like, bring Andretti in so there's more seats for rookies to get into. And that we don't even have Andretti coming in, and we're going to have 5 on the grid. Yeah,
it's like the cork has been pulled out of the bottle. And now people, like we said, everybody was trending towards keeping around the old guys, even though they were underperforming. And then you got a couple rookies in, like Liam Lawson last year did great. Colapinto came in, did awesome. Behrman came in this year. And so now it's like, hey, maybe we need to look at these guys, which is so cool. How many? That's going to give us what? 5 rookies?
So Kimi Antonelli, Behrman. Lawson's got an asterisk, I guess.
He's still a rookie, I would say.
Colapinto, if he can find a seat. Dohan for Alpine. And now Bortoletto.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know people are going to get really mad at probably our pronunciations of those names, so sorry.
Dohan, Bortoletto. But yeah, that's going to be like a quarter of the grid is going to be rookies. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it should be rank anarchy, which is just what we want.
Oh, man. All right. What else do we got? Monaco's sticking around. How you feel about Monaco?
It has to stick around. I know it's nobody's favorite race, but it is. I saw they just interviewed Max Verstappen about Vegas, and he talked about how much he hates it. All the show, all of the glam, and he talked about how much he hates it, which is not surprising from Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
But Monaco is the crown jewel of Formula One. Even if the race isn't that good anymore, you can't get rid of it.
Right. Yeah. I think with this current generation of cars, the racing sucks. Some of the best qualifying, though, I would say.
Yep.
And all the drivers don't have to travel far because majority of them live there. So
yeah, no income tax. Funny how that works.
It's funny. Yeah, right. I've got a friend that he's not even a Formula One fan. And he's like, oh, I want to go to the Monaco race. It's like one race that everybody knows about. It's been going on forever. Like you said, you can't really get rid of it.
No, you can't. So I'm happy to see that sticking around. Let's talk about George Russell's strongly worded letter.
He was not happy.
Do you think he sprays it with perfume before he puts it in the mail?
Seals it with a kiss.
There's no drivers that are ever going to come on our podcast.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, so what did he say? He was on there basically giving them crap, or the drivers are not happy about not being treated like adults, mainly coming from the whole swearing.
Which is
issues.
A little ridiculous.
Yeah. And, we've talked about the inconsistencies before in like stewarding and stuff. And then you've got the swearing where Max Verstappen apparently gets community service. Nothing else has come out of that. I don't know what exactly that means. Then Charles Leclerc swears and gets a €10,000 fine, half of which was suspended. So he only has to pay 5,000 euros, which I'm sure Max would gladly do that opposed to do anything else.
I did love how Max handled that and just went radio silent, did the bare minimum in the interviews. What a great, response. It is getting a little bit silly. And it's crazy. I watched the Mike Tyson fight on Friday. And I mean, everybody was cussing up a storm, left, right, and center. Like the first time I was like, oh crap, did they forget to bleep that? And then again, I was like, oh, I guess we're not, this is pay-per-view. This is Netflix. This isn't TV. So, it's fair game on what you say, but everybody was cussing. And it was like during it, I was kind of laughing. Like, it's funny because it's not that big of a deal. We're all adults. This is a very high stakes, high strung, lots of money. And oh no, someone said an F word. It's like it does seem a little childish on the part of it.
And I wonder how much of that has to do, and I just thought about this when you're saying that, how much of that has to do with the rise in popularity in America. Because a lot of other countries you go to, it's not a big deal. Like you'll hear curse words on TV, nudity is not a big deal. But in America, like we don't have, only certain channels and certain times really do you hear any kind of curse words or anything like that. And so I wonder how much of that has to do with, coming into the American market.
Maybe. I also think that there's a sense of old school respect and chivalry, maybe of kind of respecting Formula One as this highfalutin, the pinnacle of motorsport, that there needs to be like a reverence to it, which I do understand and I agree. But because one person said an F word one time, it's like, okay, guys, like, and I think some of it also goes back. Do you remember when, I don't remember what race it was. Maybe China, the FOM who controls the message, the marketing and the messaging and what radios are played live on the air, was complaining about the radios that were played on the air contained a lot of curse words. And it was like, you do know you're the people that control what radio messages are played on the air, right? Like This is
It's like the meme with the kid riding the bike and then he sticks the stick in his front wheel and he's like, ah.
That's exactly what it's like. And so it does. I don't know. I think that it's getting too much airtime. Like people are making too big of a deal out of it. So it's a snowball effect where it's like, if you just didn't make a big deal out of it, no one would probably care.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's funny that it's come to this where now the GDPA Grand Prix drivers, GPDA, whatever, have now started their Instagram page, which overnight got 100,000+ followers once people found out about it. And now they're actually bringing their struggles and like to the media, to the masses, and allowing everybody else to kind of jump on their side, which I think is interesting. And I know that Sulayem and all them are completely pissed off about it. And they just want it to disappear, but it's not going anywhere now.
Well, that's what happens when you try and give a driver community service for saying a naughty word. You brought this upon yourself.
I don't know, man. You're talking about like a certain reverence. I kind of miss the old days when there was like Umbrella Girls and remember the old pictures with James Hunt or Fernando Alonso and he's just like girls under each arm and everything. Like, yeah, those are the good old beer in your hand and a cigarette in the other. And like,
yeah.
Oh, well, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Been a crazy week for like expecting a very quiet 3-week break before Vegas. It was like, good God, what is going on over there?
It's always when we plan to just kind of like take some time and not do much, does the bottom fall out and everything's like every day I'm waking up to a different alert and I'm just like, what the hell is going on?
Vegas this weekend.
I'm excited about this. I don't like the time still.
No, that's pissed. I was looking midnight. Why is it midnight?
They moved it up by an hour, which is 10 p.m. I think local time. But I'm still like midnight or 1 o'clock here on the East Coast. Like I have to watch it the next day. I'm not trying to stay up all night for that.
Yeah, I do get a little aggravated about that, but I'm excited for Vegas. It turned into a banger of a race last year. We'll have to get into it in the prediction pod. It's always crazy.
Yeah, and there's a potential that Max can come out the world champion here.
Not very hard either. Like he just has to finish in front of Lando and it's game over.
Yeah, or win the race, or Lando DNF and basically game over. So, we'll dive into that more. We'll be back in a couple days with the prediction pod for that. But yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be a good race, hopefully. All right. Well, I guess I don't have anything else. You have anything else? Let me refresh and see if anybody else got fired real quick while we've been recording.
Sorry, you went full robot mode. Say it again. Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, I guess, like I said, we'll be back in a couple days with the preview pod for the Vegas Grand Prix. If you like this podcast, make sure you leave us a rating, leave us a review, share it with a friend if you can. And other than that, I think that's it, Dylan. So on that note,
stay classy, America.
We'll see you next time. I'm way out.
Who put a question mark on the teleprompter?
We'll see you next time.
You know he reads it exactly.